Hello, my name is Ryan and I'm one of the producers for the Grand Haven Musical Fountain. And this video is all about the brand new Grand Haven Musical Fountain choreography software. I'm going to show you exactly how to use the software, but before we get into that, I need to go over a few things first. Before you start programming, you need to choose your music. The first and foremost thing when considering your music choice is it family friendly? Make sure that it doesn't have any explicit wording or any innuendos that aren't appropriate for the entire family to hear. The next thing to consider is that you're buying the music legally. Please buy it from a source like iTunes or Amazon or even the actual CD album. Now, before getting your heart set on a song that you want to program, make sure it hasn't been programmed before. Do that by going to ghmusicalfountain.com and checking the current playlist of songs that we have in our library. After choosing your song, you're going to need to convert that file from either an MP3 or an MP4 to a WAV file. The Grand Haven Musical Fountain only recognizes WAV files and will not play MP3 or MP4 files. We'll go over a little bit later on in this video of how to do that. The last two steps before programming your song is to add 1 second to the beginning of the song and to cut it up depending on how long it is. The second delay at the beginning of the audio is so that we can cut off a half a second to account for a delay that we need to add in so the audience sees and hears the same thing at the same time. Otherwise, the lighting would be off by about a half a second. Finally, if your song is a little bit too long, you might want to cut it up a little bit. Use a program called Audacity or another comparable program. Audacity is a free program that you can download for both PC and Mac. After choosing your music, it's time to start programming. One of the biggest things to remember is the Grand Haven Musical Fountain is over 50 years old, which means it moves a little bit slow. That being said, you're going to want to leave a full second of time before you turn on or expect to turn on a water feature. When you want a water feature to turn on, back up a full second and turn it on at that second before in order for it to happen at the time you want it to start. While the fountain is old and the water takes a little bit of time to move, the lighting is brand new and in the 21st century, which means it reacts instantly. So when you turn it on in the software, so will the lights immediately. No waiting, no second delay. Now the sweeps in the fountain have multiple controls and multiple speeds. Currently, the software allows for many speeds, however, the fountain itself only allows for slow, medium, and fast. For now, stick with those until we're able to upgrade the sweep controlling functionality. There are two parts to the fountain software: the main timeline, which is where all the commands are put, and the animation. The animation is only there as a reference guide to how the fountain is going to look when it's actually playing. It by no means is it an exact replica of what the fountain is going to look like. We'll go over a little bit of the differences in the video later on. When programming the water features, make sure that you're not using a ton of water features at one time. You're going to want to use 5 or less. The reason why you don't want to use more than 5 is because it would start to create more of a mist rather than being able to see each individual water creation or effect. After you've finished programming your song, at the end of the song, please use a reset function. That can be found in the upper right-hand corner of the timeline, right below the animation. This will not erase any of the work you've done, but rather will reset the fountain and get it ready for the next song that is going to be playing after the one you programmed. After you finish programming your masterpiece, it's time to upload it so we can test and then play it. The best way to upload your files is to create or use a Dropbox account. If you're not sure what Dropbox is, please visit dropbox.com and you can create an account for free. You'll need to upload both your music file and your control file to your Dropbox folder. Your music file will be marked as .wav at the end, while your control file will be marked as .ctl. Once you've uploaded your control files and your music files, you'll need to share those with us. You can share it by sharing a link in Dropbox, or you can share the entire folder. You can share it with the email listed below. Also find that email in the description below this video. Please note that all songs that come into the Grand Haven Musical Fountain must go through a 2-step approval process. The first step is the committee needs to approve the song and the lyrics to make sure that they're family friendly for everyone to enjoy. The second step in the approval process is for our operators to test it on the fountain. This step is mainly to make sure that every operation of your program works in function with the Grand Haven Musical Fountain. Once your song has been approved in both steps of the approval process, it will be then submitted to the Grand Haven Musical Fountain to be put on the schedule. You can see the schedule online at ghmusicalfountain.com. Please note all song control files submitted to the Grand Haven Musical Fountain is then owned by the City of Grand Haven. Okay, one of the first things I want to show you is the website that I use to convert all my files from MP4 to WAV. Now, I say MP4 because MP4 is the file that I use majority of the time because I'm downloading from iTunes. Side note, please don't download your music illegally, especially when sending it in for the fountain. So really quick, the website here, zamzar.com. You can use this your URL up here, as you can see. Go down here, choose your files. I'm going to choose really quick. We'll go American Saturday Night. That is already a song on the fountain, by the way. And then go ahead and click Open. And then what it's going to do is it's going to put in a queue here. You can actually add more than one song if you'd like to. But you'll do that and add it to the list. Then you want to, in step 2, select to WAV file, which is the only file, once again, that the fountain can accept, and then enter your email here. Once you enter your email here and click Convert, after it converts it, it'll send you an email to the link that you need to go to download the songs you just converted. Again, this is a absolutely crucial point and step before you even start programming. Do not start programming until you have your music converted. And for sure, don't send it in to us because we will not be able to use the file. If you do send it in to us as an MP3 instead of a WAV, we could do this ourselves, this exact step, but it's very possible the timing will be off, and in that case, it's very possible that the song will be rejected and not played because the timing is off. So very crucial point, please, please, please convert your files before even starting. We're going to dive right into the Grand Haven Musical Fountain animation choreographer software here. Really excited to start showing you this, and I want to start by showing you some basics. Currently I have a song pulled up. This is not how the software is going to look when you first open it. It will be blank screen, and I'll get to that example in a little bit. But first off, let me go over what the fountain looks like in general. You have two different parts of the, well, I should say 3 different parts of the software. You have your animation, which is what's up top. You have your water controls, which is down here in the middle. And you have your timeline and your lighting at the very bottom. Now these 3 parts work together to form what actually happens on the fountain. I'm going to go over really quick of what each of these mean. If you look over here on the left, it says module 1 through 7 and then peacock and front curtain. These represent the different lighting areas and modules within the fountain. If you can see over here, you can see the slow fade from no color to blue. This means the lights are turning on. And if you watch carefully in the animation, you'll see that will reflect it up top. That will reflect up top what shows in the bottom. Now, as you can see, when something happens here in the timeline, it also shows up here in the animation. Let me go back just a little bit here. You'll start seeing that these greens are going to start fading off and going off one by one, then slowly fading out with the blue again. What you see here in this red dot, red outline bar, is it's going to happen up in the animation and eventually on the fountain. Nothing will happen until the black dots or the commands go into the center of that red long box there. Now that brings me to my next point. These boxes here are when a command happens. As you can see, there's a ton of black boxes. That means it's a start or end of a command. Technically, all commands here on the fountain never end. Another command is given. So if you see here, we'll take this as an example. We're going to go all the way to the bottom here, where my mouse is. You'll see here that there's a black box. This command is module 7 fade to green. And this is actually a crossfade from this purple color to green. This would stay on. The green color would stay on if this box wasn't there. However, since this box is there, it's telling it to go fade from green down to off or no color. Now, if this box wasn't there, I'm going to go ahead and delete this. If that box wasn't there, that green would continue on until it saw another command. It's definitely not what we want it to do in this case. I'm going to go ahead and add this back in here. I'm going to take a guess as to where it was because I'm not sure where. So that is where the commands start and end and what they look like. Now, what I just did here, I jumped ahead a little bit by copying, pasting, and erasing. When you're working in the timeline, you have the ability to copy, paste, erase, and then give a fade up, fade down, or crossfade command. These obviously have different meanings and different reasonings for using them. I'm going to go to a blank section here of the screen. At least try to find one. I'll show you. For example, let's go ahead and just, we're going to start off by turning something on. Go down here in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see your color palette here. All of these colors are different colors that the lights on the fountain can turn to. Now granted, please keep in mind that these are just animated colors, and the colors may not be the exact same. In fact, they pretty much won't be. But it'll give you a good idea of what it is going to look like. Obviously red is red, but the shades and color hues will be different. So I'm going to go ahead and select red, and I'm going to click red right there. Again, as I said before, when I selected red in this part of the timeline, it doesn't end until it sees another command. Well, because I want it to end before I see another command, I want it to actually fade up to a red and then fade down from the red. I'm going to go ahead and copy, or I'm going to enter those commands in. Now, in order to enter the fade up and fade down commands, I need to let it know how long to fade up and how long to fade it down. If I were to just right click and click fade up, it would fade up only that square. However, if I wanted almost a full second of fading, what I'd have to do is hold the shift key on your keyboard, holding the shift key, and then click and drag to where I want that fade to be. As you can see, the grid marks disappeared. Like they are over here, they're no longer here. That means I have that whole area selected. Again, I want to go ahead and fade this up, so I'm going to right click and go fade up. Perfect. Now I want to go ahead and fade down, and I'm going to fade down to no other color. So therefore I don't have to select any other color down here. And I will go through that in just a second. So I'm going to go ahead and find the end of the command, which is right here. As you can see, this is the last tenth of a second in the timeline that shows the fading up in the lights. So I'm going to go ahead and fade down. I'm going to do the same thing, hold the shift key and highlight the area that I want to fade down. I'm going to right click and choose fade down and the fade down. Notice that since this is the command and the command told it to fade down in this, because I highlighted it, since I said I want to be fading down in this amount of time, then it will end. The end command doesn't always mean that it's the end of where the command really is. That just means the final command that was given. Now, switch gears a little bit and say I want to crossfade. Well, first off, we have to go back down to our color palette. We know that these colors, by just clicking on them, can change the color of what we're doing. As you can see here, it's represented in this box with two basically triangles on the right. The bottom triangle is no color, or blank, no color selected. But the top triangle is selected, and that's yellow. We're going to go ahead and change that to red, because we want to go from a red to, let's say, yellow, because we just talked about that. So we need to crossfade from red to yellow. Well, I need to choose the color that I want to crossfade to on the system here. So you'll see that box is still blank. I'm going to go ahead and go over to yellow, and I'm going to right click. You'll see that the triangle in the box on the right changed to yellow. So now my first color, which is on the left, the top triangle, is red. The second color, which is the yellow triangle, the second triangle, which is the bottom, is yellow. Now that means I can crossfade from red to yellow. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to click and drag while holding the shift key to select these items, or these squares in the timeline. I'm going to right click, and instead of clicking fade up or fade down, I'm going to hit crossfade. Crossfading will then take it from the first color to the second color that I chose. Now, if we want to reverse this, I'm going to have to do the exact same operation but backwards. So I'm going to left click on the yellow, and then I'm going to right click on the red. At that point, I'm going to go ahead and select or click and drag while holding the shift key again, and click crossfade, and we'll go back. This is something that's going to take a while to get used to. It took me a while to get used to, and trying to figure out or trying to remember that you always have to change the colors down here for the crossfading. But once you get the hang of it, it's fairly easy to do. Now, one thing I haven't gone over yet in the right clicking options is the copy, paste, and erase. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to copy, paste, and really erase real quick. Again, while holding down the shift key, I'm going to click and drag and select the area. Now notice I do not need to select more than the last command. So therefore I'm going to end right there. Okay. Again, I'm going to right click and hit copy. You can also do this by hitting the Command C button or the Control C button if you are on a PC. The Command C button is for, shortcut is for a Mac. So I'm going to go ahead and click copy. Now I want to come down and I want to paste that into module 6, but just a tenth of a second over. So I'm going to go ahead and click right here. Now it's going to put the color in, or whatever color you have selected, which is all right. Then right click and click paste. It will then take that exact same command, even though it's a tenth of a second longer, and paste it down below. You can also do this without right clicking first. Just left click in the square that you want to paste it to and click paste. Now, let's say I don't want any of these commands and I wanted to delete all of them. In this case, they don't belong in the song. I'm just showing it to you for example purpose. We're going to once again hold the shift key down, select all of the commands. Once again, just the commands. Once all of those are selected, you can right click and heat erase. And now all of them will be gone. There's one more thing with the lighting that I haven't shown you, and that is intensities. Over here in the right hand corner you see 100%. If you click on that box, you'll have a whole bunch of different percentages. This represents the intensity of the light fixtures. Now, because our audience is viewing the fountain from over 500 feet away, they're not going to be able to tell small differences in intensities. Therefore, I really only recommend you using the intensities of 100%, 70%, and 50%. Anything less than 50%, or really anything in between, your audience isn't going to be able to tell a difference of. In a perfect world, you'd be able to go from 100% to 90% to 80% to 70% and have a visible stepping adjustment. It really is not going to work on the fountain, so I again recommend sticking with 50, 70, and 100%. Let me just show you really quick what the differences are. So currently, we're at 100%. I'm going to go ahead and click in the timeline square. And I'm going to go ahead and go down to 70%. Okay? I'm going to hit 70%. You can see a noticeable difference there in the height of the yellow in that timeline. Now I'm going to go back down here and click 50%. The exact same thing. And once again, you can notice that it has dropped down once again. Now, unfortunately, right now, we don't have a fade up to or fade down from a set intensity. That might be a software release, but right now that is not something you can do. I also would not try to attempt to include it in part of the fade. What I mean is by doing something like this, where you go ahead and say fade up, and I actually want to fade up to 50%, so I'm just going to guess until I get it. Well, unfortunately, this doesn't work. That was a bad example, but it will not work like you want it to. It's definitely a good and valiant effort. I have attempted this before in other shows, and it ends up not working. It ends up jumping to the set intensity right in the middle of the fade and not looking very good. So steer clear from that. All right, we're going to go ahead and delete that again, and I'm going to show you some water functions. Now, just above all the lighting, actually, I'm starting to back up one more second. I'm going to go back to your modules. Your modules, as you can see here, are all the way across the board. And I'm going to go back up to 100%. And once again, where that red bar is what reflects up top. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you. Oops. I'm going to show you what each one looks like as it's going across the board. So watch up top here in the animation. As I'm going over a tenth of a second at a time, you can see each module lighting up. The module 1 through 7 reflects from left to right, as you just saw, and you can go any way you want. You can go to left to right with the lighting, left to right, right to left, starting from the center, going outwards, coming outwards, and going to the center. You have many different functions, but basically this is how it's represented. The top is your left side of the fountain, module 1. The right side of the fountain is going to be module 7. Now the peacock, which is not up right now, is listed right here. That has its own set of lights. The peacock lights do not fully cover the peacock and do rely on some of the other modules to fully light it up, but you can still use it as just to light up the peacock. But if you have all the other lights on, the other module lights might overpower the peacock. You won't see the full color of the peacock. Refer to videos on YouTube of the fountain in the past couple years just to kind of get an idea of what it looks like. On my page, you can also see some videos like counting stars, reflections of Earth. Check those out, and that will help you understand how those lights work and what overpowers them and what doesn't. Regarding the front curtain, do not use this. This is a function that's not currently active in the system, so steer clear from the front curtain. Again, it just really won't do anything. All right, now moving on to the fountain. So I'm going to go ahead and actually just light this up really quick, so that, even though I just deleted all of it. By the way, I did that just by clicking and dragging. There was no need to press and hold the shift button because I wasn't meaning to highlight anything, just turning on a batch of lights. Now, as you can see right now, we have the sweeps up, which is right here. All of the fountain, I should say all of the fountain, but the majority of the fountain has A and B modules. As you can see here, the A module has 4 fountains, while the B module, the B module has 3. This works the same for ring 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, if you look down here, you can see that there's these blue boxes. These blue boxes are not lights, they're actually water. That's why it says water. Where a blue box is, just like where these boxes are, the black outline boxes, where a blue filled box is up in the water part of the timeline, that's where a water command starts. So as you can see, I just created that water command, taking down all of those sweeps there, and then as soon as they go over to the right, they turn off. It's because I added a new water command. This really helps you so you can actually see what's going on. If you hover over it with your mouse, you can actually see exactly what that is set to do. You can see here that both of those modules are set to 5, for both the sweeps rather, and now here they're set to 0. I'm going to go ahead and delete that because I don't want it there. I'm going to show you a couple other things anyways. The delete works the same way. You right click and hit erase. Now going to other items in the fountain, you have ring 1. Take those down. Sometimes this is a slight glitch in the system. You might have to actually drag these down. Sometimes it works to actually click up top, but not always. So if you do see that, just catch it. You might have to drag them down instead of clicking to the bottom. Now let me go over the rings. This is ring 1. Ring 1 is the shortest ring that we have because it has the most nozzles. This is the second second shortest, medium with ring 3. Ring 4 is a little bit taller, and ring 5 is the tallest out of the modules. Now again, we have 2 modules, A and B, with 4 and 3 sets of them. In this case, what we call these is the cakes because they look like a cake. Now, they, on the fountain, do not look exactly like this. When it comes to the animation, please use this as just a reference guide. Once again, watch other videos on YouTube, even on this page, to really get an idea of what the fountain is going to actually look like after the programming is complete. In the perfect world, yep, it would look like that. Unfortunately, the fountain is 50 plus years old, and it does not look like that because the nozzles are kind of old in some cases. So anyways, getting off of that, your ring 5s are your highest nozzles, which is what I'm going to leave up here. They do shoot about 100 feet in the air, so they're quite high. Now, brothering those, you have the spout, which I'm going to jump all the way to the right here. The spout can jump up to a little over 150 feet in the air, depending on the night. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. Really, kind of just depends. But that is definitely the highest feature that the fountain has. Partially because, well, mainly because that's the only thing that valve has. For example, ring fives either have to share 3 other modules to push the water to in that same valve, or 4 other ones. So this one has its own, ring 5 has its own valve, so it's able to shoot the highest. I'm just going to go ahead and go next door here to the bazookas. The bazookas start from the sides and meet to the center. Again, the animation is only used for a reference. They will not always touch. In fact, typically, they'll look more like this when they're at full power. On a clear night, they'll look like this, and a very rare occasion they actually touch. But this is something for just, again, use as a reference point. The peacock is exactly that. Looks like peacock feathers, just in the back of the fountain. Typically, you won't see it if it's at level 1 with a peacock, so I don't recommend leaving it at level 1. Frankly, most of the things should be at least level 2. Ring 5s you can see at level 1, but most everything else I'd recommend keeping at level 2 and up if you actually want it to be visible. So the peacock is quite big. It's used in most songs. I recommend using that tastefully and sparingly. You do not have to use this in every song. In fact, you don't have to use every single nozzle in every song. Mix it up. If you're doing multiple songs, use different things. Don't use the peacock. I often myself try not to use the peacock in some of my programming just to mix it up a little bit. I tend to use it a lot. It is a cool feature, but I'll use the sweeps a little bit more instead. Now, speaking of which, I'm going to go ahead and clear this, by the way. Right-clicking on the square and hit erase. I'm going to go ahead and clear this, and I want to talk about these sweeps a little more. Now, over here on the right-hand side, you have a button that says Other Controls. Other controls have 3 different options below it. It has, if you'd like the sweeps to sweep long or short, this is short, and this is long. Now please note, the longer they are, the longer the sweep is. If it's long, then it will go slower. If it's short, it'll go faster, just automatically, no matter how you have the speed set. Speaking of speed, the next one is the speed down here. Now, these are all in musical terms here. If you don't know music, just know that musical terms, and just know that this is slow and this is fast. And obviously, in between is your middle, your kind of medium. Really, all we have right now is slow, medium, and fast. We don't have the individual speeds right now, and currently we cannot pause the sweeps. This will be coming in the later release when the sweeps are upgraded. Keep an eye on the information below in this video. I'll let you know if that has been upgraded and if those features have been added. But for now, just use slow, medium, and fast. The next thing you have to choose, the very last thing, is whether you would like the sweeps to be opposed like they currently are, or if you'd like them to sweep together. You can obviously see a difference. Feel the song out. I always like to tell people that when you're in your program, you need to feel the song. How is the song, sounding to you? Is it sounding like you want to be the sweeps to be crossed, or do you want them to be flowing together? I know it sounds weird and maybe a little crazy, but as you start to program, you'll start to figure out what will look good and what will not look good. Now, don't be afraid to use the sweeps. You don't have to just put them up, put them down, and not change them. You can change them while they're still up. You can go from opposed like this to together, so they're sweeping, and then back to opposed. The biggest thing to keep in mind is it just takes a second for it to go. If you're going to make those changes, I wouldn't make the changes in more than 4 to 5 seconds of each other, because it does take a second or two for those changes to actually take place when it comes to the sweeps and really the rest of the fountain, but I'll go over that in a second. So that's the sweeps. Again, don't be afraid of using them and trying new things. So going back to the speed of the fountain. Now, let's say right here where this first hit is, I'm going to go over here. I want to turn on the peacock, right? So I'll hit the peacock there. Well, if that's what I want the peacock to be up, then that's not where I should be putting the peacock. Instead, I need to count 10 squares back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to put the peacock up here. The reason why we want to do that is because the fountain, all the fountains, all the modules take about a second for it to go up. So if I were to turn on the fountain right when I want it to, it's not going to go up for a full second. So wait 1 second, or rather put it behind 1 second when you want it to go up in the fountain actually go up in the air, like I just did here. Now, a couple other things. I was kind of doing some things below, like doing this, dragging it back and forth. You can either do this by dragging the bar here, or you can use your keypad. I'm currently clicking the right arrow on my keyboard and left arrow. So right, left arrow, they really help for going just a couple parts of the timeline away. I'll keep in mind that the timeline is separated by 1/10 of a second. So by clicking the left or right arrow, I can easily just go a couple tenths of a second over to the left or the right. Another thing that you can do is pressing start and stop, and the S key on your keyboard will start it and will stop it. Start, stop. And the final keyboard trick, minus the copy and paste that we've already went over, is your tapping wizard. So while your song is, with your song, there's going to be certain hits that you want to have at certain times. It may be a beat, like a 4 on the floor type of beat, or it might just be a certain hit in the song that you want to be able to highlight. And instead of going back and guessing 400 times of where that was and trying to get it right, you can use what's called a beat mark. Now, a beat mark, as you can see here, look up at the top where the numbers are here at the time, and as I press the space bar, it's going to enter in a green dot. This dot is giving me an idea of where I want something to hit in the song. So as I go back, you can see all those beat marks there. Now, that does not do anything to the fountain. It doesn't affect the water. It doesn't affect the lighting. It is there basically as a guideline for you to know where you wanted something to happen in the song itself. Now, if you don't want those, you need to redo it, whatever. You can right-click here and hit clear beat marks, and that's it. Once again, that doesn't affect anything in the fountain. It's only to help you program. Now, after you exit the program and you get back into it with open the same song, you're going to have those beat marks are no longer going to be there. Easy enough to add them in, but they won't be saved along with the program. All right, now that we've got the basic idea of how to operate the fountain and what the different features are, I'm going to go ahead and upload a song and show you basically how I would start to program. So I'm going to go ahead and go to File up here, File, Open Music, and I'm going to click American Medley by Anthem Lights, the song that I'm going to be working on very soon to publish on the fountain. So now you can see that the fountain is there, the song is loaded, okay, and there's nothing here. As you can see, all the way down there is nothing there. Now, when I play the song, the timeline starts to go. Obviously, there's nothing there. So what I need to do is I need to create, first and foremost, how I do it, I create my beat marks. So I'll hit the S button to start. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light. Now, after I've created my beat marks, I need to go in and then go ahead and include fountains, the fountain. Now, one big thing that I didn't do here, because this is just a sample, I didn't include a blank space of audio at the beginning of the song. As we talked about at the very beginning of the video, you need to have a blank space of music, at least a second, if not two, before the music even starts. The reason why we have to do that, once again, is because we have to cut off the music half of a second of the music to turn or be able to get the audio over to the other side of the channel without having a major delay. So please note from my mistake, that's not what you do, but again, this is just for training purposes. I'm not actually going to be using this exact song. I have to crop it and edit it down. So anyways, going back into it, I am going to go ahead and throw on some fountain here. I'm going to just do some sweeps, and I'm going to make it nice and slow. I'm going to go short. Just kidding, I'm going to go long because it's going to be nice and legato. And then I'm going to do a slow fade in, I think. So our song starts there in this case, roughly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and coming in from, let's see, I'm going to go to blue. I'll start with blue. So I'm going to go highlight the area here, module 1 through 7. Don't need the peacock because it's not on. I'm going to highlight module 1 through 7, right click, fade up. So now you'll see, oh, say can you see? And now I'm going to go ahead and add in a different light. And then I'll go ahead and throw out a different fountain too. Now in this case, I'm going to crossfade from blue to white. So I need to come down here. My starting color is blue, my ending color is white. So I'm going to come in here. I need to do a little before. I'm going to crossfade it. It's hard to see in the blue, but I just highlighted all that. Come down here and hit crossfade. Now you can see that I'm crossfading to hit that middle, or to hit that next transition point of the song. Now the other thing I want to do is I want to actually include more fountain in this. Now the fountain takes a long time to go up. It takes a full second for most everything to go. So your safe bet is to turn on a fountain nozzle a full second before you want it to come on. So in this case, I'm going to go back full second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I did that with the arrow keys, by the way, on my keyboard. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on the other sweeps here. And I'm going to hit, just for fun, I'm going to turn on the spout at level 4. So you can see those are coming on in the animation a whole second early. However, they are not coming on the fountain right at that exact time. So I'm going to go back here a little bit farther. You see by the dawn. So you can see the transition I just did, bringing that white light on the center. Now in a second, the whole group's going to come in. I want to bring in more color and bring it more red, white, and blue. Dawn's early light. What's up? So that's where they come in, and I'm going to, again, you want to always do a crossfade just a little bit before the hit that you want to hit it on, because you want mostly the intensity to hit at that exact moment and not start at the exact moment that you want it to change. So I'm going to go ahead and start back here on module 2. Again, I'm going to do that crossfade. And now this is a great point to show you how to copy and paste. So I'm going to go here to this square, right click, I'm going to copy and come down here to where I want to paste it, right click and hit paste. And now I have pasted that, and so now we have red, white, and blue in the fountain. I'm going to go back just a little bit so I can see where I ended up. And now you can see I have red, white, and blue in the fountain. Now, it is important to know, again, that the fountain doesn't react exactly how the animation shows, and that includes for the sweeps. The sweeps, although they may look nice and majestic right now, and might even match the beat of your music, it's not exactly going to be that speed and that style. However, the lights will be exact. So always know lights will be exact how you have it in the animation. The fountain will not be. And when you turn different fountains on or off, it's going to be a full second. A full second for turning on is the most important one, but it's also important to have the shut off. Turn your fountain off, or fountain nozzles off a full second before you want it to end. Otherwise, it'll stay up a little bit longer than you might have intended. Alright, now that I've given you a really mostly in-depth view of how the fountain looks, I want to go ahead and show you what a song would look like on the fountain that has been completed. This song debuted in 2016. It is the Hedwig's theme. This pushed the, when we were testing, this was initially made to push the software. As you can see, there's some pretty advanced cues, especially as we come up down here a little bit farther. Lots of advanced cues down there and lots of action. So I'm going to go ahead and play this for you. Enjoy, and hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial video on the new choreographer software for the Grand Haven Musical Fountain. We are so excited to see what you create, and we're excited to have you as part of our programming team. If you have any questions, please let us know by emailing us in the email below once again. Thank you once again, and we look forward to seeing your creations.